Okay, lesson 3, we're going to talk about the diatonic scale patterns. And really, honestly, in my world, the diatonic scale patterns are the holy grail of the fretboard. The pentatonic scale patterns are actually a subset of the diatonic scale patterns. I often teach pentatonic first because they tend to be a little easier for people, not only to learn and memorize, but actually to solo in too. But the diatonic scale patterns are really the ones you have to really know to be an advanced player, okay? The cool thing is that by the time you've learned those 5 pentatonic patterns, you're well on your way to understanding the diatonic patterns as well. There's one little issue though. How many notes in a diatonic pattern? We've got, I'm going to play a C scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different notes before we get to our octave. So there are 7 different diatonic scale patterns, whereas there were only 5 pentatonic. Well, you know what? If you've learned your 5 pentatonics, you've got 5 of the 7 diatonic scale patterns covered. All right? And it's important. It's a great learning tool. I think of the pentatonics sort of as a framework or a skeleton for the diatonics, but your eventual goal is to know them both inside and out. All right? And once again, if I take that C major scale and I break it down to just playing the notes on the 6th string, and I spread that scale out, the notes that are in the C major scale include the open E string, F at the 1st fret, G, A, B, C, D, E. There I'm starting over again, right? I'm going to now start one scale pattern on each of those notes, but only play the notes in the key of C major. If I do that, I end up with 7 different scale patterns. You want to learn them all, okay? The first one's a little funny because of the open strings, but it repeats itself an octave higher, and that's really the pattern you need to know inside and out. You don't need to know that open string pattern so much. I mean, you should know it, but really, I want you to come up to the 12th fret, and I want you to work on that pattern up there. Because as you learn your 7 diatonic scale patterns, and as you learn to change keys, this is the shape that's going to be moving up and down the fretboard, not the one with the open frets, open strings in it, all right? So the diatonic scale patterns, work them religiously. Take one at a time and just practice the pattern straight up and down the neck. Start playing the same scale pattern with exercises, as I'll show you some this week and in the future. Same exercises we did with the pentatonics work on the diatonics, okay? And many, many more that I've done in my life, all right? All those things will help you out. Gradually, you start moving into where you're sliding between patterns as an exercise. You pick 2 patterns and just slide back and forth. You expand on that, and pretty soon you're flying up and down the fretboard, all right? Exercise 2, here's a scale exercise. I'm gonna come down here to the 7th fret. I'm playing a C major scale in what I refer to as the 7th position, because I'm actually starting on the 7th note of the scale, B. And here's an exercise where you play in groups of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? You want to play this kind of with a triplet feel, and just work this out until it's just second nature, so you can just fly through it. Apply it to every one of the 7 diatonic scale patterns. It takes a bunch of time, but you're going to be playing guitar for the rest of your life, right? All right, have fun with that. Okay, exercise 3, we're going to stay in that same scale pattern just for demonstration purposes. We're going to play 4 notes at a time, okay? Basically, I'm going to do up 4, back 3, sort of like I did with the pentatonics. Okay, you want to learn that pattern, go through the entire scale across the strings, go through all of the patterns with this. The more you do this, the better you'll get. The better you'll get at these patterns, at these exercises, but the more fluent you will become with that scale pattern, the more that pattern will just be mastered. And when you're soloing and when you're improvising, those notes will just flow out of your hands. You won't even have to think about them. They'll just be there. Your fingers will just know where to go. Okay? Also, with each of these scale patterns and with each of these exercises, I highly recommend that you play them at every fret. Take one individual scale pattern, start it down on the 1st fret, play it there, move it up a fret, play it there, move it up a fret, cover the entire fretboard. That's one round of playing that pattern. Then come back down with the same pattern, apply that exercise I just showed you, and do that at every fret. Then apply the other exercise and do that at every fret. And then tomorrow, come back and choose a different one of the 7 diatonic patterns and do it all over again. Play the pattern straight up and down at every fret, then play the pattern with the first exercise I showed you, then play the pattern with the second exercise I showed you at every fret. This is how you really, really nail the patterns. They'll become so memorized, they'll be totally second nature for you. All right? Have fun with that.